I still feel like I'm doing it wrong most days.
Yes.
Why do we need these constant reminders?
Ugh,
Why? Why
'cause
do
we're
we forget
human.
things? Because we're human. And I need that too. I hear what other moms are doing and
Mhm.
it's the craziest thing. We just spent 5 years making a movie.
Mhm.
We're on, I don't know, episode 300 and something of the podcast. And Abby, I still feel like I'm doing it wrong most days.
Yes.
A-
Yes.
And then I have people like you and my husband who come alongside me and they're like, nope, you're doing a great job.
You're
Keep
doing
going.
it just the way you're supposed to
And
be
it's
doing it.
and the reason I feel like I'm doing it wrong is because I'm not doing it like the other people are doing. Like
Right,
I
right.
think the other people are doing it. Like I
Totally.
have this idea in my head. Like, I mean, today's a perfect example. You and I talked and you were like, oh yeah, I'm done with, why? No, maybe it was yesterday. And you're like, yeah, we were done with school by noon. And I'm like, oh, huh. Well, we're like, I don't know, not even halfway through our school day, and it's
That might have just because I said we're done. Like, I'm over it
right.
by noon. I don't know if we completed everything, so
Right. But, our every family
it's
is
different.
wired differently.
Yes.
And so we do what works best for our family and my girls are
Yes.
learning and they're growing and they're thriving and it's exciting.
Yep.
But still I have this idea that
Pressure.
that everyone else is doing
Yep.
it so much better
Yep.
than
And
I
you
am.
know where that came I think it's part of human nature. It's
Sure.
part of human nature. I do a lot of this, and you guys can laugh at this, but I do a lot of this in my life. What did they do in Little House on the Prairie?
Right. Oh yeah.
Like,
No, I think
honestly,
the same
I'm
thing.
like,
How
the
did Ma
truth
do
is,
this?
I hate to tell you, they didn't count how many hours they were outside. And the pressure of this particular thing someone said to me, like, and you guys know my family. We spend 1,000 times more hours outdoors than indoors, right? And someone started questioning me. And all of a sudden in my head, I'm like, well, I've never counted any of that. Or like, what did you guys do today for when you were doing your read aloud? What beautiful feast did you lay out? And I'm like, literally, maybe some leftover biscuits I found in the back of the. I mean, I don't know.
Right.
These aren't things that mom thought of, right? And I
Right.
just think they had a simpler life. But the truth is, they also compared. I mean, they
Sure.
did. It is in our human nature to compare. I mean, Eve was comparing what God said with what her heart want, like what her own flesh wanted. Like this is
Yeah.
in our nature. It's not going to go away. So what can
Sure.
we do to help? I think the
Yeah.
reason it's so much worse is we have this thing called social media.
Right. That's in
You
front of our
know,
faces.
it's in front of our face every day. Yesterday, I opened my house and a mom came over and we just sat and visited. I'm like, we never once sat and compared what she's doing versus what I was doing because we were face to face,
Right.
just loving on each other, crying together, laughing, talking about the
You didn't ask her if
trials.
she had made her bed and washed all her
No.
dishes and
Or
done all her laundry.
what was your latest, neatest Amazon find? Like, I
Yeah.
didn't. I literally was like, we were talking about how, one kid wouldn't eat this and the other kid wouldn't eat that. And we just did life. And I thought it's so much easier to do that face to face
Yeah.
over coffee or cold tea or whatever you want to do it over.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter what you're doing it over. Than it is looking at a screen and looking at what all these people are doing. And I just
Yeah.
think, mamas, we need to turn it off. Because this is the other thing I'm noticing. People aren't going to God saying, Lord, what would you have my poetry, what would you have my
Poetry
reading
tea
look
time.
like? Whatever. What would you have for our outdoor? Like, God, what do you want? Instead, it's what's everybody else doing? Like, what's the thing this year?
Right.
What's the new movement? And you know what? It's gonna go away and there's gonna be another one next
Yeah.
year. It's just it is. And instead we're not going to God and then we're being robbed of the moments because I feel like we're then trying to put our kids in the box. Like, you guys need to get dressed cute because I'm doing this beautiful Instagram picture
Right.
and we're going to have bitter kids. And I think I just want to encourage people to just live.
Yeah.
Just live. You don't have to have a label or a movement or a hashtag or a thing. Everything doesn't have to be a thing.
Yeah.
Just live the life God has called you to live.
Amen. And in doing that, we do need to be intentional. We just
Oh,
did a
for sure.
podcast with Josh Mulvihill about his book, 50 Things. And
Yes.
it's such a fantastic book because it gives us a blueprint, a game plan for
Yeah.
parenting.
Yes.
And so we do have to be intentional about the things that we're
Yes.
doing. You're not saying
100%.
just do whatever you want to
No, no,
do.
no, no,
None of it
no.
matters because of
No.
course it does matter. The things
All
that
of
we
it.
do with our kids do
Yeah.
matter. But it's going back to the reason that there's all this comparison.
Yeah.
You mentioned Eve. It all goes back to the garden. It all goes
Yes.
back to the enemy. It goes back to
Yes.
Satan. He
Yep.
wants to derail us. He
Yep.
wants to make us think that we can't do these things,
Right.
especially when it comes to parenting and homeschooling and
Yes.
marriage. Nope, this marriage just isn't working out.
Yep. I
You know
can't
what? We're
do
just going to have to
yeah.
give it, throw in the towel and
Yeah.
the next one will be better.
And that's because we're looking
No.
on Instagram where, well, look at them. They wear matching shirts
Right.
and do a date night once a
Yeah.
week, and he's always got his arms around her and
Yeah.
telling her how beautiful. Oh my goodness. Wake up. That
Yes.
doesn't happen.
Right. It's the comparison. It's Satan causing us to believe lies.
Yes.
And God is like, no, no, no. I've
Right.
got you. I've got a good
Yeah.
plan for you and your family.
Yeah. So there is of course we need a game plan. If you guys know me, I'm like the OCD planner. If you guys know me, I'm like we do need a game plan. You
Yeah.
do need to make things. I love to we just did one on making our homes beautiful, right? I
Yeah.
mean, we just talked about that because that's how we're created as women. I, above anybody, am going to tell you to get your kids outside.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is we need to have the right reason. We need to not do it under pressure. And these things need not be idols.
Yep.
And that's where what I'm saying is too many mamas are saying, I can't do this. And it's
Yeah.
not because they can't,
Right.
it's because they're making these things the thing.